Hey y'all, Andre's daughter here. My name is Lisi. Andre was my dad. He passed away in 2025 in September. My dad had a mission to build community. And if you are a part of my community, nice to see you. Today's message, y'all, is really about placing yourself in other people's shoes, right? So often do we not do that. Right now, I'm taking some summer classes, and one of the themes of my course is I never thought of it that way, right? And it's pretty much just placing yourself in people's shoes, something we often don't do. You know, it's easy to look at things one-sided, look at things your way, look at things at how you view them. But if you could put yourself in other people's shoes, you know, it'll be easier to build community. It'll be easier to, you know, understand where people are coming from. It'll be easier to kind of, you know, not have so many emotions, you know, clouding your thought process, right? And so I didn't write nothing down. I don't got no notes. I don't got nothing. I'm just, I feel like the Most High called me to even talk about this. In my last video, I was talking about how, you know, sometimes we think that people don't care about us, or, you know, we just get stuck in, you know, they didn't do it how I wanted. They didn't do it how I felt they should have did it. And a lot of times people are incapable of doing that. You feel me? Like, a lot of time niggas is incapable of doing that. Like, everybody can't do things how you would do them. You know, the world would be a better place if they did. But that's impossible, you know? And I think a lot of times we hurt our own feelings when, number one, we don't put ourselves in people's shoes, and then we expect them to act as we would. We expect them to put themselves in our shoes. A lot of people can't put themselves in your shoes, but you could put yourself in theirs, right? A lot of times we like to, you know, what they call it, match energies. And that's too much energy. You feel me? Matching energy is too much energy. Sometimes it's not what it looks to be. And funny enough, I was talking about this with my sister. Sometimes we operate in the feel and not the know. So I'll give y'all a little story time, right? Right now, I'm battling, you know, some depression and everything. I'm going through what I'm going through. Growing up, I had severe anxiety and depression, clinically diagnosed. And I would always tell myself, like, nobody cares about me. Nobody cares about me. And that type of thinking had kept me in my depression. Fast forward to now, I'm 27 years old, and I'm talking to my sister, and I asked her, my family started a Bible study, right? And so I asked her, I said, well, if I don't believe in the same thing that everyone else believes in, how am I going to be able to join? How am I going to be able to pray? Like, how come nobody thought about me when, you know, creating it? And so she goes, that's true. And it just kind of gets silent. And I was like, nobody cares about me. This was literally like the other day. And so in that moment, it made me feel icky when I said that, right? Because it's like, I know that's not true. And then it made me think about when I was a 17 or a 16 or 15 or 14-year-old girl going through my depression. And that's what kept me in my depression, right? I would always tell myself, I wasn't speaking kindly to myself. And then on top of that, I didn't know how, as a little girl, to put myself in other shoes. I'm a grown woman now. I know how to put myself in people's shoes, right? But in that moment, I decided not to. So when I said it, I checked myself immediately, because I know my family loved me. I know my family cares about me. I know that, you know, if they may have thought about it, maybe they would have came to some type of compromise to where, you know, I can join too, right? And we just get so caught up in thinking that everybody needs to, like, just move how you would want them to. And it's like, that's impossible. The world is not going to move how you want it to. The world is not going to move for you, you know, and we kind of got to start realizing that. And so I told my sister later on, I was like, when I said that, it made me feel icky because it reminded me of when I was a little girl in my depression, and I couldn't get out my depression, but it was because I was saying things like that to myself. Nobody cares about me. Nobody thinks about me. Nobody this, nobody that. But as a grown woman, I know that that's not true. I know it's not true at all. I know my family loves me deeply. I know if something happened to me right now, my family wouldn't know what to do. And so we operate in the feel and not the know. Right? Sometimes feelings is false. Sometimes feelings ain't true. And sometimes, you feel me, even if they are true, we know that there's something else. Because let's say for a fact, or let's say, for example, maybe my family didn't care about me, right? But I said nobody cares about me. And there is always somebody that loves you and cares about you, cares about the person that you are, right? And so even if they didn't care about me, I know that what I said and my statement, it still did not stand true, regardless whether they love me or they didn't love me. That statement didn't stand true because I have people outside of my family that love me. So to sit here and say nobody cares about me, I didn't put myself in their shoes. You get what I mean? And another story, I'm battling some depression right now. And my family, they don't really know how to cope, how to deal, or how to even give the advice. And even that will make you feel like, okay, well, dang, how come nobody's coming? How come nobody's saying this or saying that? All they're saying is like, we love you, or all they have for me is I'll pray for you. And it's like, sometimes that's all people can offer you. You may be able to offer more to somebody, but sometimes that's all people can offer you. And you can't stand in the feel of, well, how come this, how come that? You got to stand in the know of, if they could, they would. If they knew how, they would. And a lot of times people just don't know how. They may not know how to love. They may not know how to be there. They may not know how to sacrifice. They may not know how to comfort. They may just not know how. I like to look at people's backgrounds, look at people's upbringing, look at people for their whole everything, the whole picture. Now, this don't mean negate people who treat you bad, or negate the fact that some people just treat you bad just to do it. That don't mean that at all. Not at all. So if somebody's treating you bad, cut them the fuck off and get them the fuck out of here. Period. What I'm saying is, we be too stuck in the feel and not the know. Our feelings are too heightened. Our feelings cloud our judgment. Our feelings make us feel like something's there that isn't even there. You get what I mean? And so I just wanted to come on here and really talk about that. Not thinking about it that way. I never thought of it that way. And so now in my life, I'm committed to thinking about things in a different way. Once I have my view and I have my perspective, that is my view and that is my perspective. And it doesn't need to change. It doesn't need to change for me to put myself in other people's shoes. Right? And I think so often that we kind of mix that up too. We think that when we put ourselves in other people's shoes, that means that how I feel and what I'm saying, it's invalidated now. That's not true at all. How I feel remains the same. But I can still understand you and where you're coming from because I put myself there. Right? Okay, well, you got to this conclusion because maybe you were raised like this. Maybe this was going on in your life. Maybe, you had these type of traumas. This is why you came to the conclusion that you came to. But the reason I came to the conclusion that I came to is a different reason, And when we don't think about those things, it kind of makes for a divide. It makes for a divide. It makes for it's harder for us to build community. They say if you want to go far, you can do it alone. But if you want to succeed, do it together. And right now, everybody feels like, I could just do it by myself. You can't. You can do it by yourself. But if you want to succeed, build your community. And you build your community by understanding people. I don't got to agree with you. You don't got to agree with me. But we do have to understand, right? We do have to understand. I'm going through something right now, you know, with my husband. And it's because he doesn't understand me. And he feels like I don't understand him. You know? But I've placed myself in his shoes, and he's yet to place himself in my shoes. I don't have to accept your treatment. You get what I mean? I don't have to accept your treatment to understand you. I understand why you did that. I understand why you came to your conclusion, but I don't have to accept it. You know? And so, but even in that, it creates conversation. So, like I said, that builds community. Placing yourself in someone else's shoes is much easier said than done. It's much easier said than done. But if we can start there and start looking at the ways of which we didn't think first, looking at different perspectives, don't worry about the outcome. The outcome will be the outcome. But if we can place ourselves in other people's shoes, the same way we want people to place themselves in ours, if we can look at people and empathize with people and have compassion for people, regardless of I agree with you or not, regardless of, you know, we have a difference of opinion, regardless of any of those things, standing in somebody else's shoes will literally make you be like, wow, okay, I understand. I understand. I don't gotta agree, but I understand. You know? And I think that could heal a lot of relationships. I think that could heal a lot of people. Shit, even if, you know, you may not go back to that person and, you know, even tell them, like, I understand your perception of this or da-da-da-da-da. You don't even got to do that. You don't have to go back and tell them nothing. If you don't want to, if you aren't moved to, you don't have to do that. That's not what I'm telling you to do. But placing yourself in other people's shoes, it creates a type of forgiveness within yourself, you know? It really does. It creates a type of forgiveness within yourself that you didn't even know that you needed. When you sit there and you analyze the situation and you're just like, okay, let me figure out or see how they could have possibly came to that conclusion, how they could have possibly felt like that was right, even if they're dead ass wrong. You can still sit there and you can be like, let me see and try to understand how they came to that conclusion. Because if you even do that, that kind of gives you a sense of peace. That puts something over you, and where it's just like, okay, I can see that, I can understand that, and I can move forward with my life. You know? And so, and sometimes it will be that. Sometimes it will be, I'm moving forward with my life. Sometimes it will be, well, let's have the conversation about it. You know? But whatever that looks like to you, in both of those, you can put yourself in other people's shoes. You can understand other people. And so often do we not do that. Nobody want to understand nobody. Everybody wants shit done their way. Everybody on this my way or the highway shit, or what they say, my program. Fuck the program. Nigga, we're people. We are human. We are supposed to be in community. We are supposed to understand one another. We are supposed to live, you know, amongst each other. All that, my program and this and that and my way, the highway, man, that shit is fucking phooey. You know? Like, it's mumbo jumbo. It's social media talk. It's Twitter talk. It's TikTok talk. Like, all that, we got to touch grass for real. We got to start talking to each other again. And not through social media. I mean, I'm talking to y'all through social media, but you know what I mean. You know, we got to start talking to each other again. And getting that understanding again. And then that's how we continue to build community. On this channel, I am committed to building my community. I don't know who this will reach. I don't know how far. I don't know how wide. I don't care if you in fucking South Africa. I don't care if you in space. If you are a part of my community, you are a part of my community. I want to build community so badly. And I have community. I have community here. But I want to build my people. Those people who are like me. Those people who want to reconcile. Those people who want to apologize. Those people who want to place themselves in other people's shoes and not be stubborn and not just feel like you're just right all the time. I want those people. Hold me accountable as I hold you accountable. That is my community. Don't just hold me accountable and then when you're held accountable, that's a problem. Because that's the problem. That goes back to it being your program. No, it ain't no program over here. Ain't no program over here. It's love, light, happiness, peace, prosperity, community. That's how we're supposed to live. And we lost that, you know? So, thank y'all for listening to me. I got a lot more to say. This may have been everywhere or not, because I didn't write no notes. I didn't nothing. I just felt like the Most High called me to talk about it, and I came and I talked about it. And whatever he told me to say is what I said. And yeah, I think that we can build from here. But you got to start placing yourself in other people's shoes, whether you want to or not, whether you right or wrong, whether you feel like they deserve it or not. You got to look at different perspectives. We have to start looking at different perspectives. Because to think that in a world of so much information that one way is right or one way is wrong, or it should be like this or it should be like that, that's impossible. You find much more peace when you place yourself in people's shoes. You find much more peace when you can see how somebody came to their conclusion. And then they can see how you came to yours. And we can agree to disagree and we can move on about it. And we can talk about something else. Or we can just disagree and go our separate ways. But I understand you and you understand me. And I can see how you got there and you can see how I got here. You go that way and I'm going to go this way. That's fine too. I'm going to go find my people. You go find your people. That's fine too. Never am I saying neglect your feelings. I'm never saying that. But if you could look at it from a different perspective, your feelings won't be so heightened. And I had to learn that too. Lately I've been doing a whole lot of apologizing. Whether I feel like they deserved it or not, I feel like the Most High called me to do it. Kev on stage once said, reconciliation is my favorite form of conciliation. And I say that all the time. I quote it all the time. Because it's so true. If I've ever made anyone feel away, I want to apologize for it. If I've ever made anyone feel bad about themselves, I want to apologize for it. Because reconciliation is my favorite form of conciliation. And that doesn't mean we got to be the best of buds. It just means I understand you and you understand me. And even if you don't understand me understanding you is enough for me to move forward peacefully. Because we harbor onto those things when we don't look at different perspectives. We harbor onto those feelings when we don't look at different perspectives. And that goes back to staying in the feel and not the know. Live in the know and don't live in the feel. Because sometimes, say it with me, feelings are false. Let's live in the know, y'all. It's about that time to start living in the know. Everybody can't have a program. Everybody, you feel me? It can't be everybody way or the highway. Because then that means it's a one-man army. Everybody's a one-man army. Nah, man. We building community. So, thank y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope that y'all, learned something or was enlightened or You know, I hope that this prompts you to, if you're dealing with something or somebody, or you know, y'all had a disagreement and it's weighing heavy on your heart, I hope that you're able to put yourself in their shoes and, you know, see a different perspective. And if y'all can reconcile, do that. But if you can't, don't. But at least you can move forward peacefully by understanding. All right, y'all. Peace out.